What's up, everybody? It's Super Small Groove here, and today I'm going to be talking about top 9 movies of 2025. So let's get into this. Coming in at number 9 is Wolfman. So, long story short, this is a documentary movie based on a event that happened in real life back around the 1990s, yes, or I think it was like late 80s, early 1990s. But long story short, a guy escaped from prison and goes to Toys R Us and lives off there. So, yeah, interesting. I remember hearing about like the actual story, you know what I mean? Doing, like interesting facts or crimes that happened or whatever, video like that. So after researching this stuff, I already found out, knew about that. So here we are years later, and I was like, oh wait, they're making a movie based on that? This is going to be interesting. And then, yeah, it was really cool. It was interesting and fun. I enjoyed how they, portrayed everything going on, and it was nice, really entertaining. I enjoyed it. Now, I think when it comes down to it also, let me just add this, due to this being a movie based on a real life event and all that, I think these, should be, the last on the list due to, other movies being actually created and made and written. So yeah, that's just how I see it. So coming in at number 8 is Now You See Me, Now You Don't. This is a... I enjoyed the movies. I remember seeing, I think there's like the third or fourth one in the series, because I remember seeing the first one, and I think there's another one. I might be wrong on that, but this one was entertaining. I enjoyed this one. The different types of magic stuff going on and trickery going on. It's entertaining. I enjoyed that. It was a fun movie. Next thing I want to talk about is number 7. The Toxic Avenger, unrated. Now, this one was entertaining. Now, I think I've seen like a statue or somewhat of a comic back then of this character, because I like to go to conventions, so sometimes I see like random comics that I never seen, so I probably seen this one. But movie-wise, this was entertaining. I enjoyed it, it was crazy. It was... because I seen a little bit of the trailer, when it came up, and I was like, what's this one? And then, watching the movie, I'm like, oh man, wow. Because before I was like Toxic Avenger, I thought it was like something of Marvel or something like that, you know what I mean? But now it's its own independent thing. So coming into this movie and seeing it, I was like, okay, this is entertaining. And then out of nowhere, it continues on, and then he becomes the Toxic Avenger. And then from there, it just got wild. Man, like people getting their jaws chopped off or like hit off and all that. It is like really entertaining and cool. So yeah, I think when it comes down to it, this was a surprising movie, I didn't know what to expect, to be honest. But then I was like, oh, yo, this is it. You know what I mean? Really cool. So yeah. Coming in at number 6 is Jurassic World Reboot. Now, when it comes down to the Jurassic Park movies, of course, you already know, man, the best one is the first one, man. That one was really wonderfully cool. You already know, amazing classic and all that. But then I feel like, throughout the years, especially like modern times, like 2010s and stuff, like it was entertaining, it was cool, there was, I think, I feel like this one, was one that really brought it back for me personally. The other ones were entertaining, don't get me wrong, but this one was like, okay, I feel like this one was like top Jurassic Park movie compared to the other ones that came out in recent times. And I feel like this one was really wonderful, really cool, chill. And yeah, I'm happy to see that. I'm happy to see, that no matter how many years pass, like what was it? There's at least one movie that comes out in a movie franchise, some series, and then it's like, yo, this is it, man. This is amazing. I love it. Really cool. So yeah, coming in number 5 is Superman. This one was really interesting. We see Lex Luthor and Superman. They're going at it. Really cool, really entertaining. You see sexy, his sexy cousin, Supergirl and stuff like that going on, and a random dog fits in somehow, So, but man, let me say, when it comes down, I don't want to spoil stuff, but let me just say, like, that final moment is like, yo, wow, what a way to just destroy your villain. You know what I mean? That was just like, wow. And I'm not talking about just the fight wise. I'm talking about just everything in general. You know what I mean? it's like a total defeat. Like, you got him right there. You know what I mean? Like, that was entertaining, yo. That was fun, great, wonderful conclusion to the story. I think this was really great, and I feel like when it comes down to superhero stuff, I tend not to go for it. I feel like it's so much superhero, and it's like, I'm good. You know what I mean? So it's rare for me to go out and see these, because usually, you see it on, maybe it comes on TV or something and stuff, and then it's like, oh, okay, it's a nice one. But this one, I feel like, yo, this was chill, man. This was good, man. A nice comeback, Now, coming in at number 4 is the Fantastic Four: Four Steps. Now, this one was entertaining. I feel like this one, like, the same could be said, like I just explained superhero movie stuff. I was surprised, man. And to be honest, I was like, leading up to this movie, I was like, yo, because, I'm not like the huge biggest fan of superheroes, like day one must go sees, all that stuff, So I'm like, okay, like, it was funny, the ways that this movie was advertised, talked about, and what's going on behind the scenes, and just like, it just interests me, you know what I mean? So I was like, yo, I have to see what's going on with this movie, man. Like, after all this lead up and all this craziness, you know what I mean, and controversial stuff, like what's happening behind the scenes with, I know, it's just weird, you know what I mean? So I was like, how is the movie going to turn out with this cast? You know what I mean? And let me just say, yo, it was an entertaining, fun movie. I enjoyed it. Yo, it was chill. A comeback, because the Fantastic Four, they try, it's basically how I see, like, how, like, modern FPS franchises that used to be huge, like, they just keep trying, man, but I feel like when it comes down to it, this movie, they hit it good, man. It was entertaining. I love the cast of characters. Everyone was doing wonders. I feel like when it comes down to it, the final fight and everything like that, it was really great. I'm happy to say that this movie was cool, because, I remember, like, the other, like, superhero movies and the shows they try to, nowadays get into, and it's like, nah, man, I'm good, But this movie, I feel like they hit it good. So, yeah. Now, next is from the world of John Wick, Ballerina. Oh, man. I love stealth genre, whether it's Metal Gear, whether it's the James Bond movies, those are like peak. And then I feel like the John Wick movies, they're wonderful, man. They're really entertaining and great. You got Keanu Reeves, he's doing his wonderfulness. I feel like when it comes down to it, like, this series is great, really chill and cool, I feel like when it comes down to gaming wise too, we have, Metal Gear, doing wonders, and I'm happy that this year we have, the John Wick movie, the Ballerina movie too, and this is great because, seeing how the last James Bond movie was, it's like, oh, okay. So I'm happy that John Wick is, keeping the stealth movie, hardcore stealth movie type alive. You be having the wonderful stealth movies of this generation, I guess you could say, Now, I feel like when it comes down to it, yeah, it was great. I'm excited to see what's going to happen next, with the John Wick movies, after watching this one. So, yeah. Next is Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Oh, man, this was something, man. This was like, yo, this just hit it, man. Because the top 3 could have been anything, you know what I mean? Like, I was like debating, like, okay, is this better than this and this, and really thinking about it, man. I was like, you know what? I had to put The Final Reckoning over Ballerina, man. This one just hit it, man. I feel like there was more of a connection, me leaving the theater, to this one, because it was just, wow. Yeah, like, they had, like, the interesting stuff going on between the characters, and we had a wonderful cast of characters this time around. And don't get me wrong, it was always wonderful characters in both. You have, like, the Mission Impossible and the John Wick movies, both top tier movies of this year. You already know I love both, but I feel like Mission Impossible kind of got me a little bit more this time around, you know what I mean? So yeah, I have to give it to them. Yeah, I feel like when it comes down to it, having 2 stealth movies this year, man, it was just like perfect, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like this year the movie industry did better than the game industry, definitely. And these two movies are just examples of peak. You know what I mean? So yeah. Oh, here we go. Let me just throw in a fun question for all of you. Who would win in a fight? Yeah, now that's an interesting one right there. Coming in number 1, Predator. Yo, this movie, Predator Badlands. Yo, oh man. I love it, man. Look, I love Alien vs. Predator and the classic Predator movies and all that stuff, right? So coming to this one and seeing a different perspective of the character was interesting and cool. And I think, you know, when it comes down, when movies do that stuff, you know, because besides this, I could think of is Logan, when they did that movie, you know, a few years ago. And I love when they do that. You know, they take this character that's well known and beloved, but just they give them more heart, more moments of them. And I think it succeeded. You know, they took a risk and they succeeded on it. And I'm excited to see what happens next. You know what I mean? Because they kind of, no spoilers of anything, but they kind of like made it seem like, okay, there might be a sequel. You know what I mean? So long story short, I think this was a wonderful movie. And that's it. Let me know in the comments what's your favorite movie of 2025. And I hope for the best in 2026. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and until next time. Bye.